Hello everybody and welcome back to the second shelf. As you probably guessed from the title of the video, this is a video about the Manbooker 2017 longlist, which was announced last week Thursday at midnight. I'm a bit late in the game, maybe, but I thought why not add my own thoughts and reflections on the Manbooker Prize. There are many other booktubers who did that already. And a lot of them really interesting and thoughtful discussions and thoughts about the books, and I will leave all those that I watched and thought were really interesting in the description down below. What I will also leave down in the description box below is the list with all the books nominated, books on the long list. There are 13, with a link to Book Depository so that you can check them out if you are interested. And what I thought I'd do is not so much to discuss each and every book, although also because I haven't read all 13 books, but more maybe some general thoughts that I have on the Manbooker and on the long list and on literary prizes more in general. So I hope you are interested in that. And the first point I want to talk to you about, because I hope you talk with me in the comments so that we can really engage in a discussion. But the first point I want to make is something that for me is really an important basis if we talk about literary prizes in general, and now the Manbooker more specifically, that when the winner is announced in October, that doesn't mean it's the best book. It means it's the best book in the opinion of the judges. And that's not just me saying that. That is the basic rule for the Manbooker judges. They state exactly this sentence on their website, and rightfully so. And for me, that basic rule means two things. First of all, it means that if you as a reader, look at the long list, look at the short list, and later at the winner, and your reaction is meh, that you obviously have a different taste in books and a different set of criteria for quality of books than the judges, which is okay. But I think this is an important conclusion, and Mercy from Mercy's Bookish Musings, in her video, she made a point of that, and she concluded that over the years it was obvious that the judges and she had different opinions. So the books from the Manbooker are just mostly not so much her kind of books. And the second point, more general, is that it also means that judging a book, telling people whether a book is good or not, is always partly subjective. I have big difficulties with people who claim that they can measure a book entirely objectively. In other words, as if there are criteria like mathematics almost that you can apply to a book, and if those criteria are applied by different people, they will all come to the same result. I don't believe that for a minute. I think there are criteria, of course, to judge a book. The language, the writing, the development of character, the plot, the atmosphere, the topic, you name it. But I'm absolutely convinced that if you take a book and take these criteria and have them applied by two different people, they will come up with a different result. And in addition to that, I think also that for every reader, some of the criteria that you apply will be more important than others. For instance, for me, as you might know, if you've been following my channel for any length of time, I'm a very plot-driven reader. So if I read a book and the plot is weak or is not very well developed, if there are plot holes, God forbid, then I will probably think this is not a very good book, even though it might be well written and it might have interesting characters and a good character development. But if you give the same book to another reader who is not that much interested in the plot, or doesn't think the plot is the most important criterion, he or she might give the book a better rating, so to speak, because this critic thinks, well, character development and writing, they are really good, and I can see the plot holes, but I don't think weighing everything, it's that important. So my basic statement would be that it's not possible to completely objectively judge a book, that you will always have subjective opinions from different critics and from different readers. But I know that there are people out there who will thoroughly disagree with me, and I'm interested to hear your arguments, and I'm interested in general whether you feel that there is an objective way of measuring the quality of a book. And the second point I want to talk to you about is about the selection, because a lot of people, when they looked at the long list, they said, well, there are big names on the long list like Sadie Smith and Alice Smith and Paul Auster, so books you might expect to be on there, even though there are big names missing, like Salman Rushdie's new novel is not on there, Joyce Carol Oates' American Martyr is not on there. They're both big names. And the discussion often goes whether books on the long list should be on the long list, or whether other books should be on the long list. And that has something to do, obviously, with the point I made earlier about the subjectiveness of your choices. But the point I want to make here, the second point, is that we have to be aware that we don't know, when we look at the long list, we don't know which books the judges had to put on the long list. Because unfortunately, I never understood why that is, but it's not made public which books are in the pool for the long list. We know whether they are eligible, from the dates, but books have to be submitted by publishers. And I saw that there were 144 books submitted by the publishers. We don't know which books, and 10 books were called in by the judges, because the judges themselves can also call in books if they're not submitted. So to judge the long list in terms of, well, this book is missing or this book should have been on there is difficult, because we don't even know whether the book you're talking about was in the pool. What we can do, of course, is look at the long list and then come up with our own opinion which of those books should be on the short list. If you read them all, and if you make a choice from the 13 to the 6, you can come up with criteria which 6 books should be on the short list. And then a final note on why I love the Manbooker International also, but also other literary prizes, because what I love most about it is the discussion you have between readers about the books on the long and short list. For the Manbooker, there's even a Goodreads group founded by Max from Well Done Books, who used to have a BookTube channel, but has decided to quit or take a break. But I leave a link to the Goodreads group down below, because I think they are really interesting discussions. And what I love most about that is books that I thoroughly disliked. I thought they were bad books, and other people will love them, and vice versa. And often enough, when somebody I know or have discussed books with before will say, well, this book is really good and I thought it was a bad book, I will probably go and reread it and take the arguments from this other reader and see whether I might have missed something. And sometimes I change my mind, and I think that's fantastic. That is what book discussions and book debates should be about, that you broaden your horizon, because another reader will give you a completely different mindset or a different attitude towards a book, and that's great. So if you are like I am interested in the Manbooker, you might want to check out the Manbooker group, and the group is called Manbookering, and I stole the name of the group for this video because I think it's a good name for the purpose of this video, because I want to discuss the way how we talk about books. So those were my more general rambling thoughts about book prices and the Manbooker and the long list. I'm interested to hear whether you look at prices at all, and what you think of the long list, whether you are interested in discussing books that are, on lists for prices. And I will discuss the books by the female authors that I read in more detail in book reviews, because as you know, I only discuss books written by female authors in length here on the second shelf. But I thought this is a more general discussion, and I hope you thought it was interesting. Thank you very much for watching. Talk to me in the comments. I said that before, and I will see you again soon in my next video. Bye-bye.